Good evening, guys. My name is Ayush, and I'm one of the founding member of this community called Growth Folks. This event that we are organizing is a part of our regular set of events that we do for Growth Folks. Just to give you a little bit sense about what is Growth Folks. So Growth Folks is India's largest community of growth marketeers and anyone who is interested in marketing. So we have been in the ecosystem for now 3 years, and we have been doing a lot of event, I would say, not just a couple of them. So we have been doing a lot of event with a lot of industry leaders on different topics. We have our Growth Folks community on Facebook group as well. So I'll share the link later. Probably you guys, if you feel like joining and being a part of such discussions, you can join that as well, or you can visit our website, which is growthfolks.in. Today's session, as we all know, it's all about how to build and sustain a creative campaign. And it's an honor for us that we have Devargh with us as one of the speakers. So just to give you a little bit background about who Devargh is. So Devargh right now is a creative strategist at Schbang, ideating mainline and digital campaigns for national and international clients. He works on campaign strategy, scripting, and visualization of creative sustenance. Few of his works has been with Mercedes-Benz IPL campaign 2019, Hyundai Kona launch, and various others. Welcome, Devargh, on the show today. It's a
Hi,
pleasure
hi.
to have you.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
I hope you are doing safe and all set for this session.
Yeah, thankfully, yeah, I am.
Perfect. So, Devargh, please take it away. And guys, if you have a few questions, what you can do is you can keep on shooting in the chat sections below. We will try to take as many questions towards the end of the session. I also have a couple of questions to ask you, Devargh. So, all the best. Looking forward to this.
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
So I'll just begin with the topic today. It's about creating and sustaining a creative campaign. And before we go on talking about campaigns, we'll talk about the brief first because that's the first thing a creative person gets. More of the solution and the counting gets, and they ease it for us in order to understand the brief better. So if you can see the Quaker creative brief over here, so it is broken down into different things: the problem, the objective, the facts, and the guidelines that we have before creating any kind of campaign. And as Will Burns from the agency Ideas Circle says that the creative brief is the most sacred of all sacred ad documents, and that is absolutely true. And you're going to get a lot of things on the creative brief, but there are going to be things that you have to ask the client, like what different things that are not on the brief. For example, is there a backstory to the legacy of your brand, and what is the legacy of your brand? And second, is there a backstory of the founders and the creators who came kept this brand alive for so long? So these are some of the questions that you should definitely ask the client that won't be in the brief, and where you can find your next big idea. And of course, you have to ask much bolder questions that we have to will see ahead into the session. Some of the bolder question is like what is the truth of your product? Is there any bad side to the product? Is there any a weakness to the product? Because these are very important questions that you need to ask, because a brand is a baby for the founder, but for you it's a challenge. So the founder won't come and tell you, this is the weak side of the brand, or this is not working for us. They'll always show the greatest side of the brand. So it's your job to ask for the weaker side of the brand. So before creating a campaign, there is three kind of breakdown to it. One is the hero idea, which we also call the big idea, and there's the hub idea, and there's the hygiene idea. So the hero idea is Sir Fix's Daga chair. Okay, so that is and Fevicol's Mazboot Jod. These are the hero idea of a brand. The entire communication of the brand depends on the hero and the big idea. And the hygiene and the hub ideas, as you can see, the hygiene ideas is something that can go every day, and hub ideas is something that happens every month. It can be a very interesting campaign, contest. It can be a video campaign, or and the hygiene ideas can be tweets and everyday posts that you see on digital. So these hygiene and the hub ideas help you sustain the main messaging that comes from the big idea and the hero idea. So this is very important to know. Right now, one of my colleague is here, Amrita. She is doing a very interesting campaign on Feviquick, the Feviquick stars. So it's a very amazing campaign that they took the basic human insight that we are very laparwa and we sometimes break things. And even though it's not a very good thing to hear at first, but when you turn it into a very fun campaign, fun idea, it becomes an amazing sustaining idea to the big idea, that is that Feviquick fixes everything. So that is how you basically form the campaign breakdown. So we'll go and dive deeper. Yeah. So we'll focus more on the big idea today, how to come up with the big idea for your product or for your brand. And the best thing to do that is to understand that the insight is bigger than the idea. You can have the craziest idea of all time, and it won't matter if the idea is missing insight. So insight is obviously the most important crux of any idea. And next is break it down to one objective, or even break it down to one adjective. The reason I say that is, whenever you think of Volvo, you think safe. Whenever you think of Mercedes, you think of luxury. Whenever you think of BMW, you think of fast. So like you can ask a brand manager what is your brand about, and they will give you an entire line about what their brand is about and what their product is. But when you go to the street and you ask someone, hey man, what do you think about Mercedes? They're gonna say it's luxurious. So if your audience isn't achieving that one adjective or one objective, that what your brand is about, then you're missing out. So you have to bring it down and like shorten it down to one objective. And the third thing to do is actively attack your product. And this is the most important part, and we're going to see that in the session forward, is that you have to keep attacking your product. You have to find the good, the bad, and the ugly of a product. So by this, I mean the good. Let's talk about the good. So David Ogilvy wrote this ad, like around March of 1959, and he came up with this amazing print. And by the way, guys, like there are a lot of digital ads, and there are a lot of TV ads, but we cannot show you through the video at this moment because sometimes the video lags and it takes a lot of time to cover sessions. So I'll be showing you these ideas through print ads, and they're as interesting as digital video campaigns and TVC goes. So yeah, continuing, this ad was written by David Ogilvy about Rolls-Royce. And the way he did that, he spent a lot of time in the factory asking about every little equipment and accessories that go in building the car. So you have to understand, at this time in the 1950s, everyone was talking about the car being bold and beautiful. They were talking about how shiny a car is, how luxurious it is, but no one were talking about the very essence of it. So when David Ogilvy, spending time with engineers so much, came to know that about the electric clock, he thought, why not make it into something of an advantage? So he wrote this ad that at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this Rolls Royce comes from an electric clock, to showcase that how sturdy the car is, that even if it goes to the bumps and the a bad road, you'll still not hear of metal cranking, and you won't hear of things going out of place. The only thing that you're going to hear is the electric clock. So this is a beauty about how you can bring the good of the product and how you can show it to the audience that this is the specific accessory or a function of the product that you're going to love very much. And this is another way about how Volkswagen was showing during the 1960s, that when they came out with the famous Volkswagen Beetle, everyone were talking about it because of an amazing advertiser named William Bernbach came out with very creative ways to communicate the functions of a particular product or a service. So this is one way to see how you can make good use of certain specifics of your product and make it into a great ad. One of the reason, in order to sustain a campaign, you cannot talk about one thing. You have to talk about many things of a product or again your service. So when Volkswagen came up, with the Volkswagen Beetle, they were talking about a lot of things, that is associated with the product. First of all, it's small, and then you have to harp on the basic human insight, that what do you think when you hear the word small, especially when they were competing in the time of Cadillacs, and Cadillacs were spacious, big cars, and everyone were thinking, okay, the Beetle is small, then how I'm gonna fit into it. So they obviously brought very famous a basketball player over here, and they showed that even he can drive the VW Beetle. Same way, the Think Small ad that Burn Back wrote. So these were the way that they were harping on every specifics of the product, and in a creative way they were communicating to the audience. And you have to understand that how revolutionary this was at that time, when everyone was literally talking about the shinier factor of a car or the headlights or things like that. So this was a very life a changing moment for advertising at that time, what William Bernbach and David Ogilvy wrote at those very first days in the 1950s and the 1960s. And till this day, you will find these as great references. Any ad you do, based on these, ideas that Bernbach and Ogilvy, set up. So. Another way to actually communicate to your audience is understanding where you are not lacking, I would say, but the inherent truth of your product. Okay, like, just you have to be very sure that what is the truth of your product. That's why in the brief time I told everyone to ask the client, like, is there a backdraw of this product, what are you doing. So you have to ask these questions. So Avis was a rental car company, and they knew that they are not the biggest car company, a car rental company at that time, and Hertz was one of the biggest. And by being absolutely honest about their service, by being absolutely transparent about who they are, they say the audience that they are number two. And being a number two, always kind of when viewed as a very good thing to be. And Avis changed the way around people thought. They say that just because we are number two, we are giving more attention to our cars, and we are putting you first. Like, we have to do everything. We have to give more efforts in order to be number one, since we are number two. And that kind of way changed the communication, how things were going at that time, because everyone were talking about the good of the product. And then Avis ads came, and they said, you know what, we are number two, we get that, but that is your advantage, and that is why you should choose us. So you can see some of the famous Avis ad, and for a long time, like around 5 to 6 years, the Avis ads continued sustaining their message through different kind of print ads, and they talked about different things, like that we cannot leave a car one unwashed, because like, if there's a showroom just beside Hertz, then you're going to go for Hertz until you see a shinier car waiting on our garage. So they were talking about these very important things in a very creative way, and this is one of the very foundation about how you can use the secondary features of your product and service. And this is my favorite. The ugly is becoming like insanely honest about your product, and that is how Buckley's did. Buckley's were known for its bad taste, and at that time they were like running campaign, like how effective they are and how good they are, but no one were actually buying their product. And over there, the creative directors and the copywriters, they thought of coming up with an idea that just because it is very ugly in taste, it tastes bad, it can be actually a feature. So the veteran copywriter Mark Fenske said that write down the truest thing you can say about your product, and that is exactly what Buckley's did, and they turned it into an entire campaign, and that is going on till now. Even their digital media, even their print ads, they're showing that how bad Buckley, tastes, and that is why it is so effective. And just because it tastes so bad, it is so good and works. So that is the entire communication behind how Buckley's came up with this ad. And you can see that during the 1990s in India, when Savlon came up, with an ad saying that our product doesn't burn, the antiseptic doesn't burn when you get a wound or any kind of infection, and this was actually harming Dettol's production and Dettol's sales. So Dettol also referenced same as what Buckley's did, and they also came up with the message saying that if it burns, it works, and that is how Dettol again regained their momentum. And even today, you will hear sometimes your parents saying कि अगर जल रहा है तो काम कर रहा है, and like that messaging is still going on and being so infused with the culture that we are here today. So advertising is again, this is a great example how it is a great part of our culture. So there are more example about how you can see that brands are actively attacking their products. When the Crystal Burgers came, they knew that they cannot compete with McDonald's or Burger King at that time. So they came up with an entire communication saying that, so what, we are not the tastiest burgers in the town, we are the cheapest. Excuse me. And yeah, so they went on communicating that through their print ads, and you can see the same reflection. How good and important referencing is over here. You can see the this shoe brand ad that if you see over here, they're saying that we are not cheap, and they're actively attacking their product and saying, yeah, it costs a lot of money, and just because it costs a lot of money, you know that it is here to stay, and the Atom shoes will never be cheap, and that's a good thing because you'll always get what you pay for. So this is again, an example of how people take good referencing into account, and how good they actively attack their product, bring out the downside, and play it as the upside. Yeah. So we're gonna, as we say, that we're gonna talk about the big idea first. Like, if you have your own product, if you have your own service, the big idea over here matters a lot, and like how you're gonna base your communication on it. So I obviously love the Volkswagen ads. They're hands down, they're like one of the best ads when it comes to print. And this is one of the ways that they're actively again attacking their product. They're saying that we are small, but we are tough. So if you have a downside to your product, and if you have an outside to your product, this is a way that you can actually showcase it. So again, over here you're saying the King Kong is actually heard by the Polo, and over here you're saying so many policemen are trying to open this the Volkswagen Polo, but they cannot. So this is another way. And this is one of my favorite print ads. Like, I actually read it in a book called Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. If you ever get a chance to read that book, it's an amazing book, and just anyone who wants to be in the marketing field should hands down read this book. So over here they're talking about the variety of flowers that that you can provide. But if you just say that, hey, we have lilies and we have sunflowers and everything, no one would listen to them. And this is the way that they communicated, like, how mad is she, showing that there are different occasion, and different occasion needs different flowers over here. Guys, there might be some background noises because there's announcement going on because of the recent what's going on in every city. So just bear with me. So another interesting ad over here is by the Fisher Price. Over here, they're again creatively showing, and you will see, like, as I ascend and show you different ads, how visually active these ads are becoming, because this is the period, the 70s and the 80s, where visual comes into play. When in the 1950s and the 60s, you keep seeing that how words come into play. Over here, you're seeing how design is making a huge impact on advertising. And this is the best way Fisher Price communicated that why their anti-slip roller skates were so effective. And this is a format that we still follow to this day. There are brands that they still follow this format over here. So this is another example of how good referencing can be in advertising. And over here also, this is a sports channel, and they're showing the distracted man during any situation, to show the quality of their product and service. And these big ideas, if you see through all the advertising that I showed before, it is always based on that human idea, that one basic human idea your product is associated with. So what the most mistake that most brand does is that they talk heavily about the product but not what is associated with the product. So when Surf came up with the campaign Daag Achhe Hai, they went and deep dived into the basic insight, the human insight, that like whenever we get a spot on our clothes, we try to wash it off and we see it as something ugly. But they change the entire narrative and saying that this is actually a good thing. So if you can find that insight your product is associated with, you can actively communicate to your audience using that basic insight. So even Nike's Find Your Greatness hardly ever talks about shoes or how good and fluffy their shoes are, but they talk about humans. At the time when everyone was talking, I mean, showing sports shoe ads and sport ads with fit people, Nike came and showed people who are not so fit. So this is why Nike is considered so aspirational in terms of communication, and of course the greatness can be seen. And another great example is P&G's Like a Girl campaign, where they actively attacked the notion that girls can be this, they can be that, and like there's this basic saying that do it like a girl, sit like a girl, eat like a girl. So they took the basic insight, like the insight is like a girl. Anyone wants to manifest any kind of weakness with women, they are saying the phrase like a girl. So they went back and harped on that human insight, and they come up with this brilliant campaign that changed how we see Procter and Gamble forever. And even like Whisper did the same kind of campaign about sit improper. Over there you can see like how through generations we've been there have been sayings where women are told how to sit in certain ways, and Whisper harped on that fact and again changed the narrative on sit however you like, sit improper. So this is how you deep dive into that very ground human insight. And one of my favorite brands to do that is IKEA. If you see McDonald's and IKEA and how they're communicating in this age and date, it's amazing. It's mind blowing. So this is again a very very clever way to communicate that our furniture is just as equal to a box of two pizzas. And you can get a furniture of IKEA in the cost of three coffees from a good coffee shop. So this is how they were communicating. This is how they are communicating IKEA's product. And this is another clever way to do that. How they are communicating how good sleep and IKEA furniture's relation. So you're seeing that they're not just putting a picture of a furniture and saying we are strong, we are sturdy, it's going to last forever, but showing that particular function that is going to come out of the furniture. If it's a good furniture, you'll get a good sleep. If it's a good furniture, you'll get a better back sitting position. So they are always actively advertising the function rather than the product itself. Similar way how a McDonald's does it, instead of just showing the burger or the egg McMuffin, they are showing it completely finished. Even like when we are hungry, when we are satisfied after having our breakfast, this is how exactly it looks like. So this is something that Heinz also did by putting the pictures of their French fries and different snacks, and they didn't put the Heinz product in the view at all. They just say this got to be Heinz. This comes from an insight from a TV show called Mad Men. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. So this is the another way to see how good advertising can sort of connect even through years apart. Yeah. So another most important thing I feel in advertising at this day is referencing, because already everything you think is going to be, it's already done. Everything has already been done. Every kind of great ideas are already out there. What is not out there is how you actually communicate that idea differently. And one of the frustrating times in an advertiser's life is actually to come up with something new. And a lot of good advertisers, they do come up with something new but with good references. And I'm going to show you some of the examples over here. So you've seen the Tabasco ad over here, how they turned the Tabasco bottle into a fire extinguisher to talk about the heat. A similar way, you can see how the feast this company over here from Turkey, I think, I'm not very sure. They were also kind of played around with the visuals a lot, and very similar in the way that we seen. Even over here, the Tabasco's ads and Big M's ad, if you can see, the visual representation almost looks similar, but how it's been communicated is kind of differently. Even though you see the explosion, we see topography, beautiful topography, how Big M used. So you can find great references everywhere, but how differently you want to communicate, you can obviously do that. Although there are some references that are a bit too similar, um, again, the message is so different that that you don't really think that it's copied or plagiarized at all. Over here, Fanta is talking about a cherry garden or an apple garden. Over here, this Vinner Milk is talking about organic and farming, and that it comes straight from the farm. So even though it looks very similar, the communication is completely different. And this is something that one should always keep in mind, that whatever you're communicating has to be completely different, even though there are bit similarities in the visuals. This is another great example of great referencing. On the left side, you see the Volkswagen ads, and they're talking. The legendary Beetle is talking about how I am your father, and on the left side, you see that Honda used the same kind of referencing, but the communication is kind of different. But the basic insight is very very true and very very real. So this is a great example of, again, amazing referencing. And remember that we talked about the Buckley's, the ads that they were doing. So similar kind of problem Heinz were going through. They found out that people are saying that their ketchup is very slow and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of force to actually make it fall. So Heinz ketchup, came out with an entire new communication route where they talked about that we are the slowest ketchup, and that is why we're the thickest, and that is why you get natural tomatoes, you get tomatoes that are grown but not made. And you can see how well they have used the referencing from how the Buckley's ad communicated and changed the entire scenario how ketchup are seen. And at that time, during that time, everyone were talking about the tomatoist ketchup and tastiest ketchup, where Heinz was simply talking about the slowest. And you can see great referencing over here in the Mother's Day ad, which were drawn by the children and given to their mother as a gift. And over here, you can see that Heinz did the same kind of referencing, and they, told people to draw Heinz. And this is what most people drew, like whenever they were told to draw a ketchup. So you can see how good, referencing brands are doing. So yeah, so this is all I have to say when it comes to coming up with big ideas. It's all about coming up with uh, that particular human insight and hopping on it.
All right, Devargh, that was really an insightful session. Thank you for taking us through it. Uh, we have been getting a lot of questions in the chat section, so I'll go ahead and ask you one by one. Uh, I guess you have covered a few of them already, but let's say if you want to answer them once again, just a sec. All right. So I guess yeah, one. What is the name of the book? I guess that got answered. That is done. Yes. So do you think do you have any or can you quote some digital examples of the same or like any Indian brand or any foreign brand who have been doing such work on a digital front?
So again, like digital front, if you see every like all the legendary brands, they are communicating what they have been communicating earlier. So one of the brand that I am very honored to be a part of is Fevicol.
Okay.
So we are still talking about that Mazboot Zor, and we're talking still about the strength, and which Piyush Pandey has laid the foundation at Ogilvy, and the brilliant Piyush Pandey, set up this communication where they brought the metaphorical factor of a product. It's not just about strength of pulling apart, but strength of
Yeah.
staying apart as well. So in the digital front, also, if you see the Fevicol post that we do, is harping on that same insight. Um, uh, so so. So it's not very different when it comes to digital. You are communicating the same thing because humans haven't changed,
Okay.
and like we are still the same. And this is how Fevicol is doing. This is how Durex is doing. This is again how Heinz is doing. Coca-Cola. So all the great brands that you see are not very different from the print ads. But what they're doing is they are innovating the ways, like user interface, and how through contest, like I said about the new Feviquick campaign, Feviquick stars and everything. So we are using contest, we are using video formats and GIFs, everything to communicate that intrinsic big idea.
All right. So we have got a question from Puneet, and he's asking, will AI take over graphic designing?
I don't particularly think so.
Okay.
Like it's a very good question actually, but the reason I don't think so is because technology is always going to be there, and it's not about technology replacing,
Humans.
like humans. It's about working together. Even McDonald's came up with these boards where you can go and order, and you don't need someone to take your order. And people found out so many germs being contracted through typing on those boards and everything, and that didn't replace any kind of humans at all.
Right.
And even now with the new iOS update, you can see how algorithms are getting blocked, and
Yes.
people are trying getting to understand the creativity is in need now. The algorithms cannot alone save your brand or product.
Correct.
So no,
That's right.
I don't think that design can be taken over by AI.
Nice. Thanks for your question, Puneet. Now we have a question from Siddhi, and she wants to ask you what is needed to make a campaign viral.
uh,
Yes. Yeah. It's a very broad question, but probably you can just try to summarize it because few of the points were already in the slides, I guess. So,
yeah, so when it comes to making something viral, the question is no one knows it's gonna get viral.
viral.
To be very honest, like you can have a great idea and the idea is actually good, but it might not be viral. But it can give certain things to your product. Like the Swiggy came up with the sharing cookbook, where two-person can share the cookbook and come up with their own recipe. So even though the idea will probably win a lot of awards, it's not necessarily viral. I think people. How to make a campaign viral is what people take in the element of surprise, like with the cred ads again, like the element
Yeah,
of surprise was like Rahul Dravid doing like the most un-Rahul
I
Dravid
know the
things.
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think the element of surprise is what is needed, but like any marketer shouldn't harp on making a campaign viral. They should harp on making a campaign effective. So that is what I
Got it. All right. And while you were presenting your slides, there was one of the ads wherein I guess, Tabasco example that you gave, right? Can we just go back and check because Aishwarya just said that there might be some typo, so we just wanna make it a fun thing. Let's see if
okay.
she was right or not.
Okay, which one?
Tabasco, yeah, this one. Uh,
I think
is there any? Yeah.
I don't think it's a
I
you know
guess
typo.
the first word she might have thought if it should be beware. I don't know. I'll just take
Yeah,
it as
I think beer with an E means to make someone happy. Uh,
beware of the heat.
yeah.
Yep.
So they were talking about the happiness of the heat. But it's a very the fact that she spotted that as a typo is exactly what gets the attention, and that's what actually Tabasco was going for. When you see it first, you think it's beer, and then you see that, and you'll be like, oh, okay.
All right. So yeah, good catch, Ashwarya. Good one.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the next question. Okay. Examples on the Tabasco. Okay. So Shobit has a question. So he wants to ask you, in today's digital age, with content and concepts coming very fast, does the brand need to keep coming up with good ideas? Like the recent cred ads might be forgotten in some time. Or
Hmm.
as addition to the same question, he wants to ask you, can the concept for an of an ad overshadowed the brand itself?
Mm, I don't think it can overshadow the brand, but what you're saying is right. See, the credit ads are good, but the thing is that it's missing the insight. Okay, they're simply saying that getting a cashback is as bizarre as Rahul Dravid doing that, or Kumar Sanu, singing during selling
Selling a,
insurance.
yeah.
But it has no human insight, and even though it entertains us for a while, the insight is missing. On the other hand, if you see the Snicker ads, when you're hungry, it's not you when you're hungry. It has an insight, because this is actually how you feel when you get hungry, and even the communication is very similar. Snicker has the upper hand when it comes to the human insight. So as long as you're going with the insight and you're relating your product with it, even if your insight becomes bigger than the product itself, it won't overshadow. The best example is again Nike. How they're always talking about aspiration, they're always talking about your efforts and sacrificing, but no one actually forgets the product that is actually communicating that.
Got it. And one more question that he has added is, can a good advertising campaign sustain a mediocre product? If yes, then for how long?
No, I wouldn't say it, like it does. The product has to be great, and there can be, of course, backtrack to those products. There can be certain things that are not good about the products, and that's how we saw that we talked about the bad and the ugly. But as long as the product itself is strong, it becomes a great advertising. One of the best example is Bumble. The product itself is so strong that it gives a woman the chance to message you first, that it becomes the advertising itself. You don't have to say go out and
Yeah.
loud and do anything. The product itself is the message, and as long as you're doing that, you are completely hopping on the right insights again.
Great example, Devag. Thanks for your question, Shobit. Devag, like this community that we have a lot of working professionals, but at the same time, we have a lot of people who are in their colleges and who aspire to be somewhere in the marketing or product marketing field. And I believe Puneet is one of them. So I guess he's a designer, but again, he represents maybe a college community, I would say. He wants to ask that what skills graphic designers should have to survive in 2021.
I'll say it's new. Like, so, what problem with designing, which I have learned myself. I've been practicing design since the last 2 years, and it's a very like confident of me to say that I have improved a lot. And one of the thing is that always going with the trend. Like if you see in the early 2018s, there were a lot of colors, there were a lot of visuals in the ads. Now you're seeing the topography is being introduced. Now you see minimalism is a great part of the ads that are going out, similar to the burn back ads that we saw, the Volkswagen Think Small. That was a perfect example of minimalism ads, and they are doing a comeback. So it's all about experimenting with these current trends and going on with it. So try different styles, see what brands are doing, and see if you can come to that middle point where you can make the perfect balance.
Got it. All right. Moving on to the next question, we have got it from Praful. He is asking how good or valid a referencing would be if a brand takes a cue from a creative that's done already by them.
uh, can you repeat that?
Okay, how good or valid a referencing would be if a brand takes a cue from a creative that's done already by them.
Already by them,
Yeah.
like the same brand.
Yep.
Okay. So it's not about coming up with a new idea, but sustaining it. Rather, so what I'd say is, like, if you again see the entire like the McDonald's ads, and if you see the Heinz ads, and every kind of advertising there is, that they're talking about their main insight, but they're communicating into different ways. So the hub and the hygiene ideas that I was talking about, it's about that only. It's, I don't think they are creating something new that has already been done. It's just
True.
extending that communication. So again, referencing like is important, but like when you are doing it in the same brand, it's called sustaining that idea.
Got it. All right. Thanks, Devargh. Now Vinayak has a question to ask you, and probably like this would be exciting to hear from you. So he wants to ask you that if you had to improve something in the Beetle, it's small ad, what would you change or improve or suggest? What do you think?
This is done by William Burnback, guys. I'm like,
Probably you can share your experience. What was your take on it? Like being a person on the same field, what do you think? How was your take on that? How would you rate that ad, or maybe how do you see it?
I like it's flawless. Those ads are absolutely flawless. But like I would probably include more humans in those ads visually, like where which they did again with the basketball players, and also it's bulletproof. Like these are Burn Back and Ogilvy ads. I mean, I can't improve them.
Got it. No worries. So now the next question is from Avinash, and he wants to ask you what are some questions to think about customer insight.
Mm, questions to think about customer insight. Just go like actively be a participant in all the the messages that happen across your social. Okay, so at Shebang also, like one of the main thing that our solution team does very effectively is they go through every and each post, and they see the comments, and they see that what is lacking, or how they're commenting, or how they're feeling about their product. So social listening is the most important tool that you have right now.
Right.
And if you can listen to your audience, what they're talking about, a next big campaign can happen from those particular insight only. So when it comes to customer communication and everything, you should listen to what they're saying, and again, the inherent truth about your product.
Got it. All right. Now moving on to the next question. How often should a brand indulge in in such digital campaigns separate from social media regular post? Piru, you have asked this question. Is it related to some other question, or it's like I guess we are missing the reference here. It would be great if you could type once again the entire thing. Meanwhile, Devargh, Puneet wants to ask you: do you recommend any books for creative ads, like people who want to read about them, or any blog or
Oh
website?
yes. I have a list.
List of it. Please share.
Yeah, yeah. But first book you should read is Hey Whipple, Squeeze This, and it's an amazing book. Anyone who wants to start with visual ads or copywriting, you should definitely read that. The next is Higati's book, creativity, Higati on creativity, Higati on advertising. These are very important, books that you should definitely read, to get started with it. Then, there's Pandemonium by our own Piyush Pandey, who is the Chief Creative Officer in Ogilvy Worldwide. And, just to read the kind of work he did, it's like out of this world when he started with him, like in Indian advertising. So you should definitely read these books.
Got it. Now, I guess we are getting a lot of questions. So what you can do, you can stick to 30 seconds rule. Try to answer the questions. We'll move
Okay.
on to the next question very soon. So,
Yeah.
okay, Tejas wants to ask you how to interpret the data after running the campaign.
Okay, this is not something we do.
I know.
To be very honest, that's something
Yeah.
the solutions people do. So I don't have much knowledge.
No worries. All right. I guess, Nikhil, the question that you are also asking is more or less on the same side, but Devag, I'll just shoot it to you across. If you have any idea, you can share. So he wants to ask, what success metrics should marketers look at to measure success of a creative? Like, if you are having a conversation with your marketing team, what usually they talk about, or what do you think is a like success metric for a creative?
Yeah. So it's got to be, is your audience feeling like what you wanted them to feel? Okay. Are they feeling happy if you wanted them to feel happy? It's not like the cred ads again. If they were just going for entertaining, I think they achieved the objective.
All right. I guess the question was much more towards the metric side that we follow as a marketeers. But it was good to know, like, yes, you can
Yeah.
consider such sort of metrics as well to create this thing.
That
Beautiful.
is the basic like what is the audience feeling, because they're going to give the feedback in your comments, in your stories, wherever,
Yes.
like what are they actually feeling about it. So yeah.
All right. Devag, a lot of people have been asking you different examples. I guess that would be a little bit difficult for you to answer, but you all can connect with Devargh on his LinkedIn profile, and Devargh would be soon joining our Facebook community as well. So probably we can have a discussion all together there as well. I'll take three questions more, and for the people who like the questions that I'm missing, I'm really sorry, because we want to like go off the event on time. I'll just pick some questions. So one question is that what is your take on the campaign where the competitors compare themselves directly? Slice versus Mazda, Pepsodent versus Colgate campaign.
Yeah, so this is another very great way that many brands stay relevant. McDonald's versus Burger King, Coke versus Pepsi. So these are some of the brands that they do, and they actively and in a friendly way keep attacking each other. Mercedes and BMW. I mean, wherever there's a Mercedes hoarding, there got to be a BMW hoarding somewhere. So they keep doing that.
Got it. All right. One question we have got it from Abhishek. He wants to ask you, do you feel there is a huge gap within the ecosystem when it comes to communication between the agency, clients, and production houses and talent on the logistical front?
I mean, there will be disconnect all the time. Like you can't do anything about it. And like another great thing that I have seen happening when I was working is that sometimes the work inside a creative's head is so big and so ambitious, but the client's expectations doesn't match with that. So it's not creating a great ad is not about having great creative, but also a great client. So you have to start educating your client as well. So we have started a program where we show great ads to our clients, and we teach our clients on how great ads can be done, so they feel inspired as well, and they will want to create great campaigns along with the creative. So this is how you can, the little things, how you can bridge the gap between those communication errors.
Got it. Thanks, Abhishek, for asking the question. Now, I'll take the last question, and I guess a lot of people have asked something related to that only. So, Devag, you have been sharing a lot of examples that you have shared in the slides. Now, out of all of this, or you can take some other references, which particular campaign is your favorite, or like that is something that you like too much?
One of the campaign that I recently saw that our creative director Aditya he showed me was "There's No Room for Violence" by IKEA. So
Okay.
it was an outdoor activation. So guys, we did a recent outdoor activation for Fevicol, the social distancing campaign, where we stuck the chair so people cannot sit in their chair and to maintain the distance in malls and other public places. So I love outdoor activation. So similar to that, IKEA did a campaign where they turned their showroom, a space of their showroom, like covered it with wall, and there's a room inside that wall. And if you put your ears to the wall, you can hear the fight that happens between couples in during if someone is going through domestic violence. So you can put your ear to that wall, and you can hear that those sounds of violence coming, and you can actually feel that happening. So this is how IKEA gave the communication that there's no room for violence, and that is one of my favorite campaigns, that like recent campaigns. Otherwise, you can just go and check out the Burn Back and the Ogilvy, the Marlboro Man campaign during the 60s. But recently, IKEA is killing it in that. No.
All right. So, Devag, thanks a lot for doing this event with us. It was so fun. And thanks all of you guys who have joined us today. The questions that you have asked made the entire